Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Trisha Hirschberger, coming to you live from the age of social distancing or physical distancing or whichever term you prefer, and I am joined via video chat by Jorge Meza from MSI. Welcome, George.
Trisha, thanks for having me. Glad to
Yeah,
be here.
thank you for being here, or here, I should
Here.
say,
Yeah.
on Newegg. So we have some super exciting products to talk about today because MSI just this morning revealed the new generation of their gaming laptops, packing 10th generation Intel CPUs and NVIDIA GeForce 2070 Super and 2080 Super graphics cards. Now, these are really going to be the new top tier, most powerful gaming laptops that customers can buy. And George is going to tell us all about them. Thank you so much. So, to start, George, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at MSI?
Sure. Yeah. Glad to do that for you. Obviously I work for MSI. I'm part of the marketing team at MSI. I handle technical marketing. You might also see me in a few of our product videos showcasing our products and, also help out with social media aspects of things. You'll see me around a lot.
So, you're the one that gets to share the good news with everybody,
Yeah. I get the privilege to do that, share it to the world.
right? So, before we get into the specifics, what are the different laptops that you're announcing today, just from a high level?
Of course, yeah. What we're announcing today is, first of all, the refresh of our GL65 and GL75 Leopard laptops with the new, like you mentioned, Intel 10th gen processors and the new RTX graphics from NVIDIA. On top of that, we're also announcing our new flagship laptops, the GS66 Stealth and the GE66 Raider, which we're super excited about.
Awesome. And of course, while we're chatting live today, people can see some footage showing off the details just down there of these beautiful new systems playing on screen. And they really do look stunning. If people want more information or if you want to pre order the different models, we of course have links to everything that you need below this video on YouTube right now. So let's start off with the core of the system, the CPU. These new systems have 10th generation Intel CPUs in them, the mobile series designated by the H in the name. So we're talking about an i9 10980HK and an i7 10750H, those models. George, tell us what's so exciting about this new generation of processors.
Sure, yeah. So there's a lot to be excited about from Intel with these new processors. The biggest thing in my eyes is that you're able to get up to I believe, a 5.3 gigahertz clock frequency for this processors and turbo boost and other technologies involved, which is insane for like a laptop, right? It's actually passing the 5 gigahertz threshold in a mobile processor, which is really awesome to see. So that's one of the biggest things. On top of that, especially with the i9 processor, you're getting hyper-threading, you're getting 8 cores, 16 threads, so great for multitasking, and you're definitely able to handle any AAA game out there. If you're a fan of Warzone, your Call of Duties, and you're looking forward to like Cyberpunk stuff like that, this is definitely going to be able to crush that.
Okay, and what can you tell me about some of the things that were talked about by Intel, like thermal velocity boost, dynamic tuning?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So that all incorporates to the 5.3 gigahertz boost.
Mm-hmm.
For example, the thermal velocity boost, that is actually a boost that goes kind of like on top of the turbo boost. So the CPU, given a certain thermal range, it's able to determine how much extra boost it can do. So until it hits that power limit. So another 100 megahertz, another 200 megahertz, depending on the temperature of the CPU. And it really goes a long way. You have stuff like dynamic tuning with machine learning that helps the computer kind of determine and predict heavy workloads. So
Mm-hmm.
you're able to optimize for that as well. And even speed optimizers. So like for the HK processor, the i9, you're able to even do little bits of overclock as well on a laptop, which is great.
That's very cool. And what is that increased CPU power actually going to allow people to do?
Sure, sir. I mean, there's a ton of things, especially, nowadays that everybody's working from home, right? So nowadays everyone's streaming. You have a lot of content creators and, video editing, rendering, stuff like that. That's all very CPU intensive, and you need a very powerful CPU to handle that. And these 10th gen Intel processors are definitely what customers are looking out for at the moment, and, are definitely great for that. So, like I mentioned, back to that 5.3 gigahertz, That's a
Right.
single core performance. It's not just for like streaming and stuff like that. That's what's actually helping a lot in games, since most games don't typically use a lot of cores,
Mm-hmm.
maybe one or two cores at a time. So if you're getting such a high clock speed on that core, that's able to push your frame rates, way higher in tandem with your GPU. And it's great for those purposes. And of course, like I mentioned before, you have that hyper threading with the 8 cores and 16 threads, and it goes a long way with productivity and just giving you that snappy feeling when you're running a ton of things on your computer, streaming. You have browsers open and the game, stuff like that. It just
Yeah,
gives you a great experience.
totally. And so we're getting all that power, but I think it's also important to mention that these processors are designed to be mobile processors, so you get an improved battery life as well.
Definitely. So that's the entire thing about it. It's designed for mobile processing, so it's designed to run on a battery. So it's they're very, very power efficient in that regard. So they're you could be unplugged and be able to stay up and running for a long period of time.
Love that. So that covers the CPU. Let's switch gears and focus on the GPU. This is the first time that we've seen NVIDIA RTX Super cards in laptop form factor. What should people know about the 2070 and 2080 Super cards?
Sure. So, I mean, a lot of people are familiar with the RTX line from the desktops as well, and of course the Super line is, top tier in desktops, and now we're getting that on a mobile platform, which is amazing. Especially if you're coming from maybe a little bit of an older system, you're seeing tons of extra performance with these new GPUs in terms of frame rate. Obviously, with the RTX, GeForce RTX Super line, you're getting real-time ray tracing in your game. So, like I mentioned before, Call of Duty looks even better. Patrol, stuff like that, just looks amazing. DLSS 2.0, which just makes your graphics pop even more.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of things like that. It's really a boost in performance when it comes to mobile processing for GPUs.
Yeah, here on Newegg, we've done a couple videos showing off real time ray tracing in various titles, and I always think the best demo for it is Control by Remedy Games. The ray tracing in that game looks so good if you have the right setup, and these cards would certainly allow you to see that at its top tier.
Definitely. I'm sure I've spent just a long time staring at the reflective parts of that game, the
I
mirrors
know.
and everything. It looks amazing.
It looks better than real life
It
in
does.
some scenes for sure. And let's also mention that these are Max-Q designs, which we've covered on this channel before. What should people at home know about the Max-Q designation?
Sure. So Max-Q is actually immensely important for modern laptop design, in my opinion. So, what are people looking for a laptop nowadays? So you want something that's kind of lightweight, right? Something that's able to run games well, something powerful. You want something with a good battery life. You want, like I said, lightweight, thin, something you can carry around, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with Max-Q, you get a lot of that performance. So uh, the Max-Q technology, what it does is it's able to kind of tune itself to the temperature of your system, similar to the Intel thermal technology that we mentioned earlier. And not only that, it also has other parameters like sound. So it's able to kind of gauge your cooling system and kind of adjust and optimize for every given situation that's going on with your computer to give you the best performance and optimize battery life as well. So that's really important for mobile processing. It means that it keeps your computer cooler because your fans don't have to spin up as much,
Mm-hmm.
and also lowers your sound as well because that's the same reason. If you don't have your fans whirring as much, then you get less noise output, obviously, right? So
Totally.
yeah, it's great to have that Max-Q technology for laptops.
For sure. And I mean, when we are talking about all this hardware and all of this powerful hardware, again, it's important to remember that we're talking about mobile systems. These are laptops, after all. So, what are the specific engineering issues that come up when you're talking about putting this kind of power in a laptop?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on that, right? So there's when it comes to laptop design, there's a lot of compromises a lot of the times. There are a lot of factors you got to take into consideration, and sometimes you have to kind of prioritize some against others. So
Mm-hmm.
with Max-Q and these new Intel processors as well, actually, it helps you kind of not need to compromise as much when it comes to your cooling. You don't necessarily have to have a bigger chassis to accommodate this new processing power, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't have a super crazy cooling solution, it means your laptop's lighter, it's thinner, and quieter as well. So it all kind of, it's a whole ecosystem with the CPU and GPU with these new technologies, and they work really well with giving you a really solid product with a laptop.
Totally. So let's talk about the specific models that you announced today. We will kick things off talking about the GS66 Stealth 10S GS031. So what sets the Stealth apart?
Sure. So kind of a mouthful for that sub-SKU there.
Well, I wanted to make sure I said the whole thing right because it's brand new and shiny.
You did great.
And we're looking at this specific model just below right now.
Right. So that's what you're seeing on your screen right now. It's a very beautiful laptop. So like I said at the beginning, this is one of our flagship laptops that are being released. So this is kind of the new the replacement, if you will, for our previous line of GS65 laptops. So we went with a very sleek, very professional, low-profile look. It has this colorway that we named it the Core Black colorway. As you can see, it's all blacked out. Like our previous GS65, it used to have like a gold, accents here and there with the hinges and around the laptop. Now it's all black, so you get a really, like I mentioned, sleek look. It's professional, so it doesn't really scream gamer at you. You can use it for many different situations, but definitely, under the hood, you have tons of processing power, and it's great for gaming. Obviously, that's why we're here. For example, like we're touching here, it has that i9, that specific SKU you mentioned, i9 10980 HK processor with the 5.3 gigahertz boost on it. You have your RTX 2080 Super Max-Q GPU on it as well. So you have tons of processing power on this particular laptop. What I liked most about it myself is that we actually got a lot of feedback from our users for our previous GS65. So we actually decided to really reinforce the chassis itself. So it's a very solid feel when you pick it up. There's hardly any flex. A big thing that in my eyes is that we re-engineered the hinges. So it's a new hinge design that's able to withstand way more wear and tear. So it's going to last you a long time. And a little cool thing about it is you're actually able to lift up the lid with one finger. So very easy to do. Super smooth, feels pretty nice. Obviously there's tons of features, so I'm sorry that I keep rambling on, but
no, that's okay. This is what you're here for today, George, is to tell us as much as you can about this. I see Gaurav R in chat says very classy. Nick S says, does the Stealth laptop show up on radar?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think it's gonna probably do that, even though it's stealthy on everybody's radar. But
it looks super sleek.
Yeah, definitely. So, getting back to the specs, aside from that, top end CPU and GPU, you get, it's fully loaded with 32 gigs of RAM as well. You have 1 terabyte of NVMe SSD storage. So, the boot ups are super fast and very adequate storage for the system. It's even upgradable if you want to go down that route, fairly simply, I may add. One of the other bigger features of it as well, probably my favorite, because it's pertaining to games in general. That screen itself, it's an IPS screen, right? However, first of its kind, it has a 300 hertz refresh rate, which is pretty insane.
Wow.
So you're guaranteed to get super ultra smooth gameplay from this machine to go alongside with all that performance. So it's definitely able to utilize that. So it's having that high of a refresh rate is great for especially like esports titles. Your CS:GO, your Fortnite, even like League of Legends. You get super ultra smooth gameplay. You become more accurate, and it's just a great feeling, to play at that kind of screen with that vibrant color. I believe it has like a sRGB rating of 100%. So really color accurate screen, and like I said, the refresh rate is just nuts. In addition to that, we've revamped our speaker system too, so you get really good sound. We have kind of dual speakers underneath, and they actually kind of shoot up. On our older designs, the speaker kind of face down, so now you kind of have it having go both ways with the passive radiators.
Awesome.
Meaning that you get a lot of higher loudness, higher decibels, clearer sound, better bass. So it's really awesome to experience. Gives you a better sense of gameplay.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm sold. I think it
yeah,
sounds amazing.
it is.
But that is not the only laptop that we have you here to talk about today. So is there
Oh
anything
no.
else you want to let us know about the Stealth before we move on?
Sure. Honestly, I have so much to say, but if I want to narrow it down a lot, it has great I/O functionality.
Yep.
Obviously you have your USBs, you have your Thunderbolt 3, which even doubles as a PD charging port. So you can connect, supported smartphones or something, and charge your phone super fast, or even the laptop itself if you have the correct adapter for it.
Cool.
On top of that, we've revamped. We have our SteelSeries Per-Key RGB keyboard because we have to throw RGB in there somewhere because RGB is awesome. And
Even though it's
we've done some
stealthy.
updates where the key, for example, the control key on it, it's a little widened, so it's easier to press, so you don't miss it during gameplay. And there's a few different features that kind of are shared with one of the other laptops, so I'll mention it then when we get there.
Okay, sounds good. So next, what can you tell us about the GL75 10 SFK 029?
Right. So this is kind of like a refresh, like I mentioned before, of our existing GL65 and 75 Leopard laptops. So the big thing about these is that they're more of in a way, entry-level thing. If you don't need to necessarily take yourself all the way to the enthusiast level with the GS, for example, this is a great laptop to start with. So you get tons of power with it. In particularly the GL75 Leopard. This is out of the ones we're talking about today. This one has a 17.3-inch screen. It's also an IPS panel. This one actually has 144 hertz refresh rate, which is still really great.
Awesome.
In addition to that, this model would have the i7 processor.
Okay.
Version of the Edge processor for it.
Yeah.
That one will boost up to 5 gigahertz on clock speed with all the technology we mentioned earlier. And in addition to that, I believe this one would go up to an RTX 2070 GPU.
That's still
well.
a super capable and powerful machine.
You have packed stuff. You have a full HD display. It looks really nice as well, and it's still going to be able to handle pretty much any game you throw at it.
Awesome. So you mentioned that this is a little bit more entry level, but still definitely
Not
gamer
hearing
focus.
You. For some reason, I don't know if your mic got muted.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Let's
Sorry
see if
about that,
everybody
guys.
else on the stream can hear me, or if
Yeah.
you guys should be able to
On
hear
my
me.
end, let me make sure.
Let's see. Doing it live, guys. This is what happens when you do it live.
Just a second.
Yes. Here, let's see.
Well, if you can hear me, it's live streams. What are you gonna do, right?
I can definitely hear you. Let me go ahead and see. Can you hear me now? Nope. You can't hear me at all. Dun dun dun. But stream, you can hear me, right? Can hear, says Lil Tizzy. Okay, you guys can still hear me. That's great. You just can't hear me now. Can you see me, George? Let's see. 1 second. I just turned my mic off and back on because in tech, that's what you do. You turn it off and you turn it back on. Can you hear me now? Not at all. Okay, so let's see real quick if I can get... Oh, 1 second. George is going to try something real quick. Perfect. So far, the items that we have covered, guys, include the GS66 Stealth, which, I mean, I feel like that needs to be my next laptop. It's gorgeous. It's very, very stealthy, all black with very subtle RGB and top of the line specs. I saw a bunch of people in chat asking is George washing the chat? Yes, he is. I think he is, at least. I saw a bunch of people in chat saying that, like Lil Tizzy said, thinking of getting this instead of the new Asus G14 or 15. And I mean, this was just announced this morning, so it is the newest shiny, but I'm excited that it's available for pre-order. You can find the links down in the description. And as far as what what we've heard so far about the GL75. Sounds nice so far. And again, I mean, if we're saying i7 and I believe 2070, I don't have the specs in front of me, so I'll have to get George to come back and confirm that I'm saying the right things. But from what I heard, the GL75, which we're looking at right now, just down there, sounds like a really capable machine too. And I also don't have the pricing right in front of me, but if you guys can check the links in the description on this video, you can probably tell me what the pricing is going to look like, because I'm interested to know the price differential between those two. Let's see. George is back. Can you hear me now? Now I can't hear you, though. Oh, no. His mic's muted. He'll figure it out. Your mic's muted on... Yep. Just unmute your mic and you'll be good to go.
There we go.
We got you back. Okay, great.
Great. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
Perfect. No worries.
Issue, but you know what happens, live streams?
Yeah, this is totally doing it. If anyone thought we were pre-recorded, now you know.
No. We are here.
So pick it back up from, you were telling me about the GL75, and that it still is a very capable machine, but you had described it as, you know, if you don't want to go the full enthusiast for the GS66 Stealth, how might you, or say, like, what type of gamer would the GL75 be for? And if you know the pricing offhand, because I don't have it in front of me, what the price differential is between the two?
Sure. So I'll be honest, I don't really remember it exactly offhand, but you will be seeing about maybe $1,000.
Here, Newegg just put it in chat. The Stealth price is $2,999, and the GL75 price is $1,499.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I was almost close. So as you can see, there's a substantial price difference between the two. So it's a bit of an easier entry point into laptop gaming. So, you know, definitely something to check out, and it's for, you know, it will be able to run basically any game that's out there. It's a still very powerful system with an RTX 2070, and you still have an i7 processor there with hybrid threading technology and everything we mentioned, up to 5 gigahertz boost. So it's definitely no slouch. Without you having to, necessarily empty your pockets with the other end, if you don't want to go that route. Yeah, like I said, still have plenty of features. You have a lot of connectivity with it. Obviously, you have USB 3.2 ports there, I believe up to 3. HDMI, you have mini display ports, stuff like that. That gives you a lot of expandability. So, it's not just all pretty with the perky RGB keyboard here from SteelSeries, as you can see on your screen. Fully customizable in that regard. So yeah, it's definitely just a solid laptop with a lot of great features that anybody that's getting to, trying to jump into this type of arena, it's a great starting point for it.
Awesome. George, not only can they hear you now, they can hear you twice. They're asking if maybe you have two mics on. So I'm just going to ask you to check that real quick while I get us set up. Let me see here. While I get us set up to take a look at our very next product, the GL65. So this is, that you're looking at right now on screen, is the GL65 10 SEK 022. And that is at an even more affordable price point. Newegg Studios put it in chat that the GL65 is $12.99. Very, very cool. All right, so let's see, George, if you talk again, see if we still have an echo on you.
Any echo?
We'll see. We'll wait for chat. It's going to be a slight lag. So tell us about the GL65 as our sound check.
Sure. So yeah, the GL65 Leopard. So that one is essentially the little brother of the GL75. So compared to the GL75 that had the 17.3-inch screen, this one's a little bit smaller form factor at 15.6-inch. It has a lot of similarities, like I mentioned, with the screen, with IPS panel, with the 144 hertz refresh rate, and really the things it differs with is, say, the GPU. So it would feature the same i7 processor. However, the GPU itself, it's just a little bit of a step down at the RTX 2060 GPU instead of the 2070. So still a great game, great gaming machine. and just a little bit of smaller form factor. If you're not that big of a fan of like a 17-inch screen, this one will essentially give you the same performance. You have the same I/O ports there, so a lot of the same functionality, just slightly weaker graphics card and types of performance there, but definitely can handle pretty much games that are being played right now. So
Awesome.
another option there for people.
Yeah, and I think the price point at that was $12.99, I believe. Yep, $12.99
Sounds about right.
from Newegg Studios. Awesome. Thank you guys for your feedback in chat that the audio is now great. Awesome. So our dual troubleshooting took it out. And then, of course, last but not least, let's go ahead and take a look at the GE66 Raider 10SGS057. I'm going to pull that up here for us right now. Please go ahead and take us through the features that you get with the Raider. This is the only one of the 4 that we're talking about today that you can't pre-order on Newegg right now, but folks should be able to buy it in just a couple of weeks, right?
Definitely. So just a couple of weeks, keep a lookout for it. It's awesome. So, it kind of in contrast with the GS66, the GE66 Raider, it's not shy about showing off. So obviously, the first thing that catches your eye is that panoramic or a light bar that we have at the very bottom across the front of the chassis there. So it's really cool, especially in person, to see it. It has a lot of customizability, a lot of different, colors that you could change. There's 16 million colors that you could choose through our Mystic Light software. So it just looks really awesome. If you're a fan of RGB, this will definitely draw you to it, like me. It's one of my favorite laptops out there. Functionality-wise, though, spec-wise, it does have similarities to the GS66. So you have that i9 10980HK CPU as well. You have the RTX 2080 Super GPU Max-Q. And like I said before, 32 gigs of RAM. You have the 1 terabyte NVMe SSD storage on it, and lots of different functionality. So what it does add on in comparison to the Stealth is that it is a little bit thicker in design, and that has its reasons. So for the most part, it's something that I really like because I tend to have a lot of peripherals. Mm-hmm. This machine just has so many I/O that you probably won't need anything else. I believe it has a total of around 5 total USB ports between USB Type A at 3.2 and Type C. You have your mini display port, your HDMI, video output ports. You have your audio ports, stuff like that. What's great is that you have some ports located on the left side, the right side, like any normal laptop, and we even moved some ports on the rear side because there's just so many. And what is great is that the bigger, bulkier connections are in the back, so it just makes cable managing a lot easier if you're someone like me that just has a ton of different stuff plugged in all the time. So that's something I really enjoy about this particular model. Similar to the GS66, it does have that per key RGB SteelSeries keyboard, which is customizable through the SteelSeries Engine app. And what I didn't mention last time with the GS66 about the keyboard is that not only does it have the enlarged keycaps on it, but we've actually added some pretty cool function keys up on top. So my favorite one is one that we call Crosshair. So it's a little bit of an enhancement for you when you're playing FPS games.
Oh.
Yeah, some may call it cheating, others use other terminology. But essentially, you press Crosshair with one click, brings up just what it is, a crosshair right in the center of your screen. So it makes doing stuff like no scoping a lot easier when you're playing shooting games, since you actually kind of do have a reticle there. So it's great for getting a little bit of advantages like that. Of course, you have a single click button to configure, Dragon Center, bring up different configurations for the laptop, performance, battery, customization, stuff like that. So it's just chock full of features with Dragon Center that people can take advantage of.
Yeah, I see. And I don't know if we have exact testing specs on this yet, but Galen Long says, how's that battery life with all the RGB?
So that's a very valid question. Obviously, I'm not going to lie, in comparison to the GS66, they both have that 99 watt hour battery life. So that's actually, I didn't mention it before, but that's, I'm glad you brought that up. That's actually the highest capacity that you're able to have legally in the US, because of the FAA doesn't let you travel in flights with anything larger than, say, 100 watt hours. So this is 99.9. So you're right there.
Wow.
You're not going to see a bigger battery on a laptop than that. So but back to your question, the RGB will lower it a little bit, obviously, depending on your particular use case and what you have running and what settings, and battery's going to react differently, but it's still going to be great. Like I said, you have a 99.9 watt hour battery, so it's pretty much double the capacity of, say, your typical laptop.
Have there been any special considerations in either the keyboard or the trackpad? And that's a question from Gaurav R.
Sure. So like I was mentioning, specifically the keyboard, like I said, the SteelSeries per key RGB keyboard, like I said, it's customizable RGB wise per key, so you could do your own design however you want. But practically speaking, for gaming specifically, sometimes, say you're playing an FPS game, you want to crouch or something, hitting the control key on the left side can be a little difficult with your pinky. So we've actually widened that key specifically to make it easier to press. So you don't do some typos or hit the wrong key accidentally. And overall, the keys are larger, so they're easier to hit. And we've even changed the switch inside of the keycap itself to make it given a little bit better actuation and travel time. So it just gives it a really, really solid feel in that regard.
And I don't know if we have the information on this, since this is the only one of the four that we're talking about today that you cannot currently pre-order, but Gear1989 asked, what will the price be? Do you know what pricing is offhand?
It will be very close to the GS pricing. That's what I. That's
okay, very close to GS pricing.
Yeah, very close to that.
It might be listed in the links below, but I'm not really sure. But everyone in chat seems really, really impressed with these. Good job, MSI, says Galen Long. And I mean, this is a really huge announcement morning. So, George, I'm so excited that you came here and shared these announcements with us live today. This is awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad I've had this chance, and if I may just add one more thing. I know there's so many features for these laptops, but just to take it back to our cooling for the GS66, we have a new design, our Cooler Boost Trinity Plus. So one of the things our engineering team did was actually redesign our fans inside. So that system has 3 fans and like about 7 heat pipes to keep your CPU and GPU cool. However, the fan design for the blades, the fan blades, we actually made the thickness thinner, so it's only a 0.1 millimeter thin blade, which in turn lets us add additional blades to the fan, and we're seeing that it's giving us about a 10% boost in airflow, which is awesome. Keeps your system even cooler on top of having Max-Q technology, on top of having these really energy optimized processors that have very low TDPs, like 45 watts. So it's a very cool system. Definitely will let you game for a long time without overheating or anything like that. And that's similar to the GE that we're looking at now. So this one has an even more robust cooling system to it, due to the sizing of it too, since we have more room down there. So we have our Cooler Boost 5, which has even bigger fans. We've also lowered the thickness for the fan blades there to add more, and even more wider and larger copper heat pipes for better heat distribution. So like I said, we have all this powerful hardware. We're able to cool it well, and it's able to perform to the best of its capabilities for that.
So cool. And Lil Tizzy, I got your question. Lil Tizzy in chat says screen response time, and I believe you were specifically asking about the screen response time on the GL65, but if you have that information available for all of the 4 laptops that we talked about, we'd love to hear it.
Sure. So in a way they're similar in that sense. So since they are IPS panels, typically with IPS the response time tends to be a little bit higher, and we have that clocked for these type of units at 3 milliseconds. So awesome. I mean, it's still very fast, but with that, you also get the IPS level quality screen and viewing angles, and really high popping, vibrant colors.
Awesome. Okay, so 4 new laptops upgraded for the new generation of Intel and NVIDIA GeForce hardware. To help people decide which of these laptops might be the right choice for them, can you help us distinguish between them outside of price point, which of these is the absolute most powerful option and which is the lightest, most portable option?
Sure. Yeah, that's definitely a great question. So it's almost neck and neck with the GE and the GS66 in terms of the hierarchy there. However, I'll give the edge to the GE66 in that regard, simply because it does have a little bit more features to it. So, for example, the little bit more robust cooling in comparison to the GS lets you maybe get a little bit more boost from your HK processor there. It has other features. For example, that particular one, the GE, has a 1080p webcam built in right to that thin bezel on it, meaning that you're ready to go. If you're a streamer, you don't have to have like a separate webcam if you want higher quality, streams, stuff like that. So it's all packed right in there. So it has a little advantages like that in comparison to the GS, where that one would have like a 720p webcam, which is still really good. And I'm glad it's still there, that we still have webcams, because it can be useful, especially this type of events, right?
You said it. Yeah, 100%. And on that note of webcams being used so much right now, I want to thank you for not giving us an up the nose shot today, George.
I tried my best not to.
I feel like so many Zoom calls right now have everyone from this angle.
Right, coming right up. Yeah.
No, and so now I have to ask, and you might not be allowed to answer this, but do you have a personal favorite of these 4 new systems?
That's hard, and oh man. Well, there's give and takes here. You have that super slim and portable Stealth. You have the really robust GE. You have the really affordable and also very thin GL. But in my heart, honestly, I fell in love with the GE66 the moment I saw it. That light bar just looks so awesome in person. Like, honestly, if you ever get a chance to try that out, it's really cool, and gaming on it is just amazing. So,
awesome.
Yeah, that's my choice. GE66 Raider.
Okay, perfect. And if anybody in chat has any questions that I haven't answered, please go ahead and throw them out there now. For everybody out there watching, make sure that you check out the links in the description below this video to check out all the great new laptops from MSI. You can pre-order now and for the 3 of the 4, and we also have some information that we can share regarding shipping. Newegg is going to be doing UPS next day air for all customers who pre-order. So the plan is to ship on April 14th so that you have the models in your hand by April 15th. So it's basically just as fast as buying them at a physical electronics store, only, safer. Yeah. Galen
awesome.
Long says, I assume these are all 17.3 inch or 15.6 inch?
That's correct. So all of them that we saw today are 15.6 inch, aside from the GL75 Leopard, that one being the 17.3.
Awesome. Cool. Well, George, is there anything we didn't talk about that you want to mention about these new laptops today?
We covered a lot. Like I said, tons of I/O ports, top of the line versions of those I/O points. USB 3.3 Gen 2. You get the best speeds. Thunderbolt 3 on the GS66, able to give you up to an 8K screen if you hook up to it, which is really awesome. So, you guys should really check them out. They're top of the line, and they're just great to game with. So check those links, and make sure you take advantage of that free next day shipping offer.
Awesome. And I see one more question from chat. Only US ?
No. So we're selling these models worldwide. Every region typically has their own little sub SKUs with little bits of hardware changes. So definitely check out your local retailers if you're not in the US.
Perfect.
For that information. But they're available worldwide.
But the specific Newegg deals that we mentioned might be US only. You got to read the fine print. I don't have that in front of me, unfortunately.
Specifically that, more than likely, yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, George, thank you so very much for joining us on this call today. I hope that we get to have you back again soon. This was lovely.
Sure. Yeah, always a pleasure, Trisha. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. And everyone at home, I hope that you're all staying safe, and thank you all so much for joining us on this chat today. If you have any other questions, please go ahead and leave them in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer them. But again, thank you all for being here. George, again, thank you for being here, your time and your information, and we will see you all soon with more from home content here at Newegg. Bye, everybody.
Thanks.